He's been good in the mid lane. Tabzz, for example, great performance in like Cogwall, for example. Like ROCCAT have definitely been looking better, but the old question: too little, too late.
Yeah, definitely you're playing to get number 7 now. Mainly try and get the safe spot. Avoid going to promotion tournament. Ban coming in against. I mean, Tabzz is one of those guys who's always good at innovating and like jumping on new picks. Always been a very smart player, so I'm definitely not surprised that he would be a guy picking up Jhin.
Yeah, makes sense there. Gonna ban out Forgiven's Lucian, but as Stress was talking about, maybe he'll pick up the Kalista.
Sivir is here as well.
Playing it recently. Sivir's been coming out. We haven't seen that yet in EU LCS, but we've seen it elsewhere in the world.
Another favorite for Forgiven.
Yeah, Crochet is it's actually disgusting how much damage you deal in a late game team fight. Thresh was the final ban against Vander, and an instant first pickup of Corki from H2K.
Yeah, I don't think Thresh has really any value being banned away, unless you take away Braum here and you're trying to really squeeze the support pool. But if you don't, I mean, why wouldn't Vander just pick up Braum and say, I was going to take this anyway, most likely. Kalista is open, of course, as a potential takeaway for ROCCAT now that Corki has been locked in. That must be the trade they were looking for, seeing as they kind of had a target ban as the last one, saying we want to leave multiple OPs open, so you get 1 and we can take 2. Ahri is not going to be it, but Gragas will most likely be the pick for Airwaks. He played it quite a bit. And then you can pair Gragas with Kalista, and it's a very solid first rotation.
Yeah, solid, nothing out of the ordinary, really. Definitely not going to be seeing the Ahri. Also had that change where with dashes now, in the LeBlanc matchup specifically, they will go to the end of their dash instead of being stopped inside it. Quinn as an early rotation pick. We've been seeing that a couple times recently as well, and I still don't know how to feel about it.
Well, I think Quinn mid is really strong, but it's normally as a bit of a counter pick.
Right.
Into some of these control matchups, you then pick the Quinn. Top lane, she's fallen a little bit out of favor for most teams because a lot of tanks are being played top. And it's hard for Quinn to take them down, and you kind of focus on like snowballing lane, or you lose basically all your impact because you can't really team fight compared to like a Nautilus, which is a fine pick if Odoamne wants to take it up top and just play Nautilus. You can even play Rammus because you can double physical now. And if the Quinn goes mid lane, there's basically no AP top laners in the current meta, or there may be a Lulu. So I think going Rammus here is actually super good.
Indeed. So got the Gragas lock in now along with the Rammus. And most likely going to be Rammus going into the top lane. So again, we're seeing another team prioritize Rammus over Nautilus. Nautilus mid, maybe. We saw it in LCK this week and last week. Hell yeah.
Now, again, we talked about why Rammus is good here, because most teams will put Quinn mid lane and then just pair it with a tank top. And then you play tank and double physical damage into Rammus, who builds Sunfire Thornmail and just never dies in a million years. So like Quinn is in an odd place. She's really good in mid lane in terms of just the laning phase and trying to get out of laning phase ahead and then becoming a split pusher. But when it comes to later on in the game, she struggles to kill these tanks up top, like Rammus. She struggles to kill Gragas. So she's very relying on being a split pusher and picking off targets. And not like, as we've seen before, kind of jump into team fights.
So waiting on these final or next to final 2 pickups coming in from ROCCAT. Looking at the Nautilus. I like Nautilus into basically every other tank matchup in top lane right now. I feel like Rammus has a slightly better time maybe, but Rammus being picked up with the Braum, so almost certainly going to top lane.
But now we get that problem where you have Nautilus top, physical damage mid laner, physical damage AD carry against Rammus and Gragas. I mean, this is why I don't think you pick Quinn in the first rotation. Especially not with your AD carry, because for most teams they're going to say, oh, that's mid lane. Like straight away, it's like, that's probably mid lane. And then suddenly you now have shown your damage dealers, and then with the likes of Rammus in the meta, being such a top pick, I don't know. I think you showed way too early.
Maybe you flex the Quinn as a jungle. We have seen that before, and then pick a heavy AP mid laner. But you're right. I definitely feel like we're looking at like a mid laner or a top lane Quinn, and then you have 2 heavy AD damage dealers. Like Nidalee's gone from the jungle, so you're not going to pick Nidalee for even any remote damage there coming from AP.
I think we must, as you said, as a potential flex.
Yeah.
But then for AP picks now into Corki, you can play LeBlanc if you want to, and you actually have kill pressure in lane, especially paired with the Quinn for a strong 2v2, and it would give you some magic damage.
Yeah.
If we just lock in a standard jungle pick now, like Elise in, you're too physical damage focused, so Elise could be an option. We know Airwaks likes to play Kindred as well. I've seen quite a bit of a Devour Kindred here in 6.4. Super strong pick late game, but getting to late game then is where you kind of trade off some of the value by picking that Devour early. I want to see if this Quinn is in fact jungle Quinn, and we get like a LeBlanc for Betsy in the mid lane, and then we just play a super strong 2v2 around this mid lane. We try and camp it and like pressure it there, and then put that into side lanes, because Kalista Braum is super good at diving towers, and Nautilus as well in case of setting up dives, but it's gonna be mid lane Quinn, and that's why we mentioned Elise. It's just an AP option.
I'll have to see how this goes in the rest of the game, and indeed we all will, because Rammus is going to become a major issue as this game goes on. Like, Elise isn't going to be able to chunk through him. You get to like mid game, late game, and that Rammus is actually going to be unkillable.
Is it Nautilus mid?
Or
it is an option.
It got 25 seconds, so it would be the dream, but I'm not really sure. I feel like Freddy would be more attuned to going for that into the top lane. What we did mention was Forgiven did pick up the Sivir. We talked about it earlier in Champion Select, but he did lock it in with the Janna. So a whole lot of mobility on this team. You speed up the Rammus with the Janna, with the Sivir ultimate as well. It's going to be fantastic to watch.
I mean, last year was basically Sivir, Kalista in almost every game. Unless Forgiven was playing and he refused to play both the champions at the start of the year. We'll play like Graves and Lucian instead. He then adapted the Sivir pick, and again, it is a utility pick. It still is a utility pick. Yes, she got a buff here on her W, so she can deal more damage in a late game fight, but it relies on her getting that crit. She is still mainly picked for her utility. Her ulti is still very strong, and also she offers wave push.
Yeah.
And for macro teams, Sivir is a super good pick, because it's all about how fast can you push out the lane and then rotate to the next lane. That's where Sivir does extremely well, compared to like an Ezreal who has to stand and auto-attack Q on the minions. So basically the way you play Sivir at this point, especially in laning phase, push, 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 and then that's it.
I mean, it suits H2K's style down to a T. Every time we speak to them, it's like, yep, we're going to play the macro game, we're going to take your towers, we don't need to fight you. If you happen to be there, we'll kill you anyway. Jump on Twitter, use the hashtags, hashtag H2K win or hashtag ROC win. We've got those in this time. We're heading on to the Rift very shortly with the second game of the day coming into EU LCS. We'll see if ROCCAT can actually pick up a win here, which is incredibly important for them to try and pick up that 7th spot coming out of the regular season. But we are now on to the Rift.
And we see more early game focus from ROCCAT here compared to what we saw Giants do in the last game. With the heavy scaling comp, and we didn't like it. It also ended up doing absolutely nothing other than just getting killed multiple times and lose the game in 25 minutes. ROCCAT does have more early game punch. Very early game focused jungler. Elise without an ulti herself. Very good, especially pre-level 6. Kalista lane, Quinn lane in mid. Actually is a good pick into Corki. Because when Corki tries to Q you as the Quinn, you just use your E anyway, and you can actually jump out of the Q damage, and you can then out-trade very easily. It's so hard to land skill shots later when you get blinded by the Quinn Q. So it's a good matchup for Quinn. But it's a matchup that has to be won by Betsy and Airwaks together. We know these two guys like to camp for each other. Well, I guess Betsy doesn't really camp for Airwaks, but Airwaks will camp for Betsy.
Yes.
And then snowball it out of control, because I think later on in the game with Gragas and Rammus, the physical damage come from ROCCAT won't have any damage.
I mean, it's basically inevitable. You get to late game against the Rammus with this composition, you are just straight up not being able to do anything. That ward has just seen Vander and Forgiven as they go into the jungle. They were trying to upset potential Krug start, but Freddy and Airwaks already started the red, and in fact they're going to stop and go towards Raptors now. Noxiak will do the same on the opposite sides of the map and try and disrupt Jankos and Odoamne.
Basically also what H2K is doing here, by moving in and checking, they want us to try and push them off the buff. In case they were either starting on Crooks or the buff, they could push them away from it and then force them on the bottom side, only doing one camp. That leaves up an extra camp and a buff for Jankos when he goes to the top side here in the lane swap. And he's obviously starting his own red buff. So if you don't mirror what the other team is doing in terms of their dual lane invading, your jungler and top laner will do a camp or a buff, while the enemies won't. So basically for ROCCAT in this case, because they didn't mirror what H2K were doing, they get pushed off the camp, has to do one. Sorry, push off the buff. Yep. It's going well, you know, I'm saying you and them and whatever. Point is, ROCCAT didn't invade, H2K did. H2K, meanwhile, started their own red buff. ROCCAT tried to do that, they got pushed off. they get a Raptor camp and leave. I mean, this is a very simple thing. I've just repeated like 4 times because I keep messing it up.
I got it, Deficio, don't worry.
Should I write it down for you as well?
Yeah, please. If you could draw a diagram, that would be fantastic. A flowchart, perhaps.
Maybe we get a replay of it and we can kind of highlight it.
But what happens?
I know, there's a lot of movements on the caster.
But what happens now? So what do they need to do to come back from this situation? Do they go back to the top side and clear the buff? Do they go for an aggressive
that would be
bot lane?
suicide.
Or what's the play? What's the play from here?
You leave that jungle, you realize the red buff is gone. Like, it's not your red buff anymore. And you basically just send your top laner down to catch the wave on bottom side with your dual lane to start pushing in tower.
Okay.
Losing a buff doesn't really hurt you that much, especially not in a lane swap, because you don't gank with the red buff anyway. Unless you see the adaptation we saw at IEM, where more of the teams are having the 3-man pushing, and then your jungler, instead of just farming all the camps, he does go in and he tries to gank mid lane when he hits level 3 red buff. That is a potential play, especially against a Quinn, who often will push the lane early. But no, for now, you just kind of move on with your life. Send your top laner to the bottom side, let your jungle clear out the bottom side camps, and then you just start pushing in the tower here, and you're just slightly behind in experience.
I see. So in the mid lane, Betsy, you can talk that interaction you spoke about earlier on Deficio, where you'll vault in when the fast bomb is coming out, and you have to be in range of Ryu to do that though. Like the counterplay from Corki is to be out of range of the vault, so you fast bomb for a long range instead of going for the auto attack.
But then it's very easy to dodge it,
and then it's easier to dodge.
Because it's so slow. So it kind of puts you in a good situation when you normally couldn't really dodge it because you're too close. You can then jump out of it with your E. And it just gives Quinn a lot of opportunities in lane, and standard lane swap so far.
Let's try and get the Blinding Assault down. Once that Blinding Assault lands, you just win the trade straight up as Quinn, because, I mean, you can't have the opponent hit back. So Odoamne will pick up this top tower, very cleanly done by H2K, and ROCCAT are going to be about 1 wave behind, but it's not going to be the end of the world. Forgiven will go back into the bottom lane a little bit faster, and Vander will be there as well. So I'm not sure if they won't save this.
No, I mean, it does hurt them. It always hurts being behind, because it's not very exciting to talk about. Like, lane swaps are not very sexy to talk about, but the tempo in lane swaps is what you guys hear us talk about so often, especially here in Europe, where the teams value it so highly. The faster you are taking down that tower, the more farm you secure for your own top lane, because you can see Odoamne on your minimap. He's still sitting and farming up there, and no one is even close to stopping him. There's even wards in the lane from Vander being placed to see, okay, oh, Kalista is coming. I know how much time I have now. Last hit a few more CS, recall, run down to bottom side. While on bottom side, you can see Freddy got pushed off instantly. Now, Odoamne gets pushed away, and he just got a few more extra CS. Don't always get fooled by the CS counter here, because some of them have been jungle minions, which doesn't put, obviously, any value on it if it's like a small raptor. Yeah. Compared to a melee minion here in lane. So it does matter quite a bit. And also, how fast are you at setting up push now for the next tower? Because you just keep snowballing out of control. If you're 5-6 seconds ahead, you're obviously going to be 5-6 seconds faster getting to the next tower, and you take that one down even faster. You therefore give even more farm for your top laner, and it just slowly but surely does snowball a bit out of control. And you will just constantly be ahead if you keep playing correct, because once this tower dies, well, you recall again, and you go top side, and you push in for the enemy tier 2, and then you just keep doing it, and you keep just jumping around lanes, and you keep being ahead. In the end, you will force ROCCAT to defend. Once you defend, you lose, because you gain no deep vision then yourself, and you have to wait for farm, and then you have very little map pressure. So look here, this tower is almost dead from H2K.
And top's only just being started now by ROCCAT.
And now Odoamne comes in, he says, oh, this tower is all me, you know. I haven't even hit it yet, it doesn't matter. I will take the gold from this one. Greedy Odoamne, getting gold medals and gold from towers. He gets this one, and now, again, he has a wave he can bounce, and he can sit here, and he can just farm it out. While Freddy, he wants the same, but he's not getting it.
I mean, this is just going swimmingly for Odoamne now in the bottom lane. He's getting all of this farm. In terms of levels, they're about equal. Odoamne doesn't have a big advantage over Freddy. Maybe a bit of one, but Freddy will take this top tower now as well. So yeah, around maybe even 10 seconds now ahead are H2K in terms of the play. And now already Forgiven's in the top side of the map with Vander.
Yeah, and they're gonna push Freddy out of this lane instantly. Push out this lane as well, and then because they're so far ahead, ROCCAT might be forced to go up and defend it. Forcing a flash.
Yeah, from Freddy. Lands the dredge line just before the Howling Gale connects.
And now Freddy's falling behind in experience. He's level 3 to level 4. The play's already started. Bottom side, Kalista is still coming down. Odoamne is still just standing here, looking at his minions dying and last hitting a few, and then Tabzz shows. So ROCCAT has basically just been behind The solution is instead of 3-man pushing, when you see you're behind on the first tower, you call in your jungler, and you just 4-man push it. Your jungler sacrifice getting a camp, but it pushes in tower, so it goes evenly down. Rift Herald play something we see a lot of in Europe. Fnatic showed it at IEM, Origin showed it at IEM, and a lot of the Asian teams actually didn't know really what was happening when Rift Herald got taken. Basically, you want to kill this one, and you want to use it to further increase the tempo of your third part of the lane swap. I guess it is kill tier 1 for first part, second tier 1 second part, push for tier 2. It's now the third part. So you now join up with this, and look at ROCCAT here. They realize, oh, they're going to come in Rift Herald. There's no way we can push in as fast as they can. So suddenly they start going like, should we recall? Do we have to go up and defend like 3-4 members? Or do we want to try and push in? I think at this point, if you are ROCCAT, there's actually no good call. Because if you start recalling, Odoamne gets free farm on bottom side and you don't get a tower. If you start pushing in, you risk H2K even pushing further for another one. But I think that's very difficult, so I think ROCCAT is making the correct call. As long as they can kill this tower in time to recall. Now, this is actually risky now. There were two, so they started recalling, if you guys noticed. They were like recalling, stopping recall. That delayed them too much again. H2K can push in for another one. Like, this is actually super bad by ROCCAT.
Yeah, this is a wave and a half, and all those caster minions being buffed up by the Herald. They'll definitely have the push here. And Freddy, I mean, he can't really clear the minions.
This is good, though.
They're trying to make a play, and that was actually a nice bit of clear from Betsy off to the side. But actually, the push continues in top lane. Bot tower did go down as the Sivir ultimate for disengage. Betsy looking to pick up an exit kill. That's going to be the blinding assault and the ignite, but Vander just have the shield.
Betsy completely saved the day. Because H2K has to stay and actually kill the tower to gain anything. Tower will now just get the HP back anyway. That's why H2K tried to greed for it and like, oh, can we get a few more hits on it and kill it? But basically, ROCCAT realized way too late that H2K had built up that wave, were super far ahead in tempo, got the Rift Herald to buff up the minions as well. So again, you can see them on the minimap, like, some of them are recalling, some of them are like, oh, defend, push. They realize we have to just push, because if, as I said before, if they start defending now, they don't gain anything and will probably lose tower no matter what. So they did trade tower for tower, and then Betsy had to leave his lane and go up and basically save the day with Quinn. So good use of Quinn and her extra mobility. A mid laner like Victor would not have been able to do this. He had to run the entire way, super slow, and then that tower had died, and the play suddenly for ROCCAT would have been bad. But none of the plays they could have made would have been good because they've already messed up by falling behind in the swap in terms of how fast they push towers. So very, very important to have that Quinn pick from Betsy, and he reacted fast enough to kill the wave.
So now, I mean, that top tower is going to be very difficult to kill because you have to push up so far in that lane and top lane.
Oh, that lane is dead for you now.
For a while, no. So H2K need to look elsewhere on the map to make plays. Mid lane seems to be the one on the docket currently. While Gragas off to the side on the bottom side, and Ryu is pushing up in the mid lane. But Rammus as well, ready to go. He's speeding along. He's thinking about a flash bump, but Odoamne, or rather Jankos, will go in there first with the ultimate. He takes a bunch of tower shots, taps in from the side, the pierce, the rend, the auto attack, and that'll be first blood going to Tabzz.
Miscommunication, definitely from H2K. Odoamne charging up the Powerball, looking like he wanted to go aggressive. Betsy had no flash, he used it before in the fight up top lane. And then Jankos goes in and commits to the dive. Team doesn't follow. Let's see what happens mid though.
Airwaks looking for the gang to flash. The bump by Odoamne knocks him back into Ryu, and despite being blinded, he was still within the circle of vision. And Ryu will happily pick up that kill in the mid lane. Nice setup from Odoamne.
Yeah, this definitely makes up for the mistake from before, H2K getting a kill. What you want to do at this point is just let your top laner catch waves and let your AD carry push out waves. Let's see here. So Odoamne is showing he wants to go in, but he ends the Powerball, he steps back, and then Jankos commits anyway. Clearly at first the team were calling, hey, we can go for it. And then the team were calling, no, wait, we can't. And by that time, you know, Jankos had already thrown his ulti and committed to the dive, and he ends up dying. But Odoamne on top side now, big wave coming down for him. He's gonna catch that one and slowly push it out. You want your jungle support running together with the AD carry. And so that's the one pushing out the lanes once you get past the river. Before that, your top laner can do it. Once it gets, again, past river, your top laner leaves because he doesn't want to overextend alone and die. And he should then be able to go to the other side of the map and catch a wave being pushed by ROCCAT. And that's how you make sure all your lanes are getting farmed. I see a lot of teams give the AD carry like a lane he can freeze.
Yeah.
At this point, it's like, no. Because then your top laner gets zero farm anywhere. Your AD carry is the only one who's supposed to push out with support and jungle.
I mean, this is just classic H2K now, going from lane to lane, chipping them down. Mid tower is very low. ROCCAT responded well, moving through members there as 2 had to recall or move away, go to red buff. Jankos actually stole that one away as Airwaks reaches there.
Look at Betsy already in the bottom lane. That's very early. They move him to the side lane. Obviously, ROCCAT's composition here, this is something we can highlight as well, is it's a comp built around winning early game and never getting punished for lagging wave clear. Because your wave clear is Quinn Kalista. So like Kalista's wave clear, it's kind of ass. It doesn't really do anything. And for Betsy as well, like you can land your Q AoE damage, but it doesn't clear the wave. You have to land it from a weird angle. Like it's not wave clear at all. So when you run these comps, you put so much focus on winning early and then setting up a 1-3-1 split push, so you're always the one pushing and therefore you never have to wave clear on the towers. You're playing against Corki, Sivir even, still good at pushing in towers, has a spell shield to stay safe. Disengage from a Janna. Like ROCCAT falling behind and having no wave clear is just gonna make these towers melt completely. Like you can't really move anyone to a side lane, because when you do, your mid tower just dies.
I feel like ROCCAT have been drawn into H2K's game though, because H2K, they had momentum starting off the play and they always know what to do in every single variant of the lane spot phases, and that's just resulted in the advantage they have now. They have the mid lane turret, they have the gold advantage. ROCCAT, yes, they picked up the first dragon, but H2K are just looking for these towers right now, and I feel like more and more teams keep getting drawn into this, and ROCCAT, they had the potential to be more aggressive early, like a Kalista with the early game spike, likewise with the Quinn, but so far it's been used reactively to stop the pushes from H2K.
ROCCAT didn't get standard lanes, and I see more and more comps in this meta that kind of lives or dies by getting standard lanes almost, or if you do get a lane swap, you get slowed down a lot. And you can't fall behind the lane swap then, like, at all. Because if you do that, your comp just falls apart. And that's what's going to happen to ROCCAT's composition here. Pure physical damage, low wave clear, has to play 1-3-1 split push. You can't do that when behind, because you can never push out lanes at once. You're always just forced to defend, and then your comp again is useless. Also, the thing about Sivir that teams will learn, in a lane swap, you want to always auto-attack tower and only use abilities on minions when you are standing at towers here and trying to take them down as fast as possible. Sivir does really well at that. With her boomerang, ricochet and everything, the area damage she offers, it's really good at taking down these minions while she's still auto-attacking towers. And that's what a lot of other AD carries can't really do.
Ryu just get caught out by Cocoon there. Takes a couple tower shots. Wave just dies so quickly in front of the Given. One auto attack and a boomerang blade and it's gone. But there's a decent amount of wave clear from ROCCAT because they have a bunch of people down there in the bottom lane. Freddy's pushing the top side and Odoamne should be able to meet him there. It's only 14 minutes into the game, but we've had a lot of tower kills, 7 already.
Yeah. I mean, this is a standard lane swap game. And then also the group mid from H2K to get that mid tower. And now once again, you see Odoamne is back. Once the wave get pushed out by Freddy, Odoamne is always showing up and catching the wave. You want to make sure your top lane is getting farmed. So he's now going to again slowly push it out. Forgiven is on basically a, I'm going to call it a risky mission, but not really, because you have your jungler and support with you. As the guy always applying pressure with the lanes together with the Corki as well. But you're supposed to just always get vision in the lane. Or in the jungle that is between the lane where your mid laner and AD carry is. Because that's your strong area of the map. That's where you invade and get deep vision. And then you can start contesting objectives, towers. Sivir's back in base. ROCCAT actually noticed that and gets an opening for Dragon. So I like this play. They can still go back and stop Odoamne. He's not going to kill that inhib tower. Freddy should just recall here and catch that wave.
H2K now pushing down the middle lane. Odoamne has pushed up so far. He clears wave surprisingly quickly.
ROCCAT didn't actually recall. They ran the entire wave.
Wow. And now they might be able to capitalize on this top tower because it was down below half health already. Tremors will deal more damage to the turret. And H2K open an inhib 15 minutes.
I mean, that's never supposed to happen. Ever. Complete misunderstanding, almost a miscommunication from ROCCAT here. Freddy, as soon as they're on that dragon and they know, okay, HK is not contesting it, you already start recalling there as the Nautilus. Worst case, you cancel it in case the fight is breaking out and Rammus is going to TP in anyway. Otherwise, you just complete your recall. You run up and you catch that wave and you don't lose your tower because you can always TP back if there is a fight. So really, really sloppy play there and sloppy calling from ROCCAT. Maybe they thought the tower was back to full HP and they're like, nah, we got plenty of time. Rammus is not going to take it.
I mean, that was being set up for a while. Like, Rammus was pushing
Rammus
that from his, like, inner turret and then, like, just waddled up to top tower. And it was gone, basically, before H2K roamed up there. I mean, they just needed to cover him so he could finish it off. And ROCCAT, yeah, they just needed to instantly send up someone to recall. So, major oversight, and that's just resulted in yet another turret going over to H2K, extending their gold lead. And eventually we'll hit the point where ROCCAT will start losing skirmishes and teamfights simply because they're so far behind from gold and how many spikes that H2K are hitting in terms of items.
We're 17 minutes in, and Odoamne is on 170 armor.
Yeah.
Without using his W, he just popped it now. With W, 290 armor.
Man.
We're 17 minutes in, guys. Quinn, Kalista are your damage dealers. And then I guess an Elise.
Yeah.
So congratulations, you get Elise AP damage. That's it. Like 290 armor. You're never gonna kill that. Let's see what happens bot lane. Betsy is pushing out, probably a force flash.
This one, Betsy. Oh,
yeah.
He'll have to flash.
Jankos just saying, I want your flash, nothing else. Throws out the ulti, Betsy flashes.
We'll take that trade any day of the week. Odoamne, he's Katrina Rift Herald, an Airwaks, a Tabzz, and a Freddy. So he'll have to flash away. Airwaks is still chasing after. Another flash is committed from Freddy. Odoamne is not taking a whole lot of damage, but he is now with the support being thrown in there with Fate's Core. Throw everything at Odoamne, including the kitchen sink. But that was a lot of resources used in the top lane. They should be able to defend mid lane as well. H2K will peel away.
So basically, ROCCAT knew that Jankos had shown on bottom side, using his ulti to get a flash from Betsy. So there was no chance of H2K pushing in mid fast or going up and respond to this gank. Odoamne also with greedy play there. Trying to clear out a pink ward towards the entrance of the enemy jungle when your team just showed on bottom side of the map. Probably is not going to be happy about that one.
Going to be shaking his head on the sidelines.
He's already writing down one note in the notebook how he's going to punish Odoamne, and then we get a kill.
He's going to punish Airwaks instead. All right, that's a tick in the notebook of Prolly. It was like, okay, that was... yeah,
but Odoamne wasn't part of that one, so he's still going to get punished.
That's true, yeah. Maybe not as harsh as Daylor. No pinks, no drinks. What can we do for H2K? I don't think of anything at the top of my head.
No, probably doesn't have anything he's known for.
No,
He's just that kind of person.
Yeah, I know in the Splice House they banned sodas, which was a big hit to Senpai specifically.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they underperformed in the start of the season.
Yeah.
No soda.
But over time, you know, after you get over the withdrawal symptoms, they have started to perform better. Senpai as well on the LeBlanc after his mind was less clouded by the sugary goodness of soda.
Yeah, the potato cannon knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
I think maybe they're allowed to drink in the weekends. I'm not 100% sure.
The cheat day. So
maybe I think that might
be
be a
all
cheat
day just drinking soda. Yeah. Sometimes I get thirsty, but I stay refreshed with the great taste of this tap water I have next to me.
Cheers.
Cheers. H2K, we're waiting on Dragon. Another just under 2 minutes. Got a 30 seconds on Baron. This is a chill game. Going to be spining away this blue buff, so Betsy going to have that denied from him. Over time, Jankos has been gradually taking away these buffs, one on top side, one on bottom side. Just going to be setting up this early vision, getting the crab. Rift Herald, as you can see, is returned to his homeland.
He's another Rift Herald.
All of the other Rift Heralds and telling stories of how he wasn't really killed this game. He was killed once, I believe.
Oh, twice, I think. And
twice? Because they went up there and they got stopped.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, they only killed him once.
So
but the time they did kill him, they really used him effectively.
So I'm not sure if it's the same Rift Herald or they send like new ones. You know, like the ZZ Rob portals? I assume those are just new ones, right?
Yeah,
like
I don't think you can kind of reuse them.
Right, so they're all lining up for the portal and jumping in at the same time. Yeah.
I mean, the point about recycling is, I guess, with Void Links, they do kind of explode and disappear. I'm not sure you can recycle that.
I mean, I'm not really sure what type of constructs they are. If they're living, you know, like organisms, or if they're just like, you know, shooting for Stargate, maybe something like replicators, for example. So they can be blown apart and then put together, and then also like sent through the portal again. Like maybe that's a thing, but I'm not really sure. I'm not sure on the mechanics of ZZ Rock portals.
Or the Rift Herald.
Or the Rift Herald.
Yeah. Well, we get Airwaks trying to gank. I mean, again, he has AP damage, but if he goes down to gank now, you can see H2K is actually in position to do something mid lane. So now it is a bit more risky, but he can deal a little bit of damage to Odoamne, but not a whole lot.
I'm not really sure that ROCCAT are winning this trade against Odoamne. They're going to wait until the tremors are done. And yeah, they're hitting him, and now that he's forced to hit him with the taunt, I think he comes back down, and Odoamne headbutts him to death. the 1 versus 2. Don't disrespect the Rammus. And Freddy now caught up by Jankos. He's knocked back. The dredge line doesn't quite connect with the ultimate coming in from Jankos. That's a double kill coming out.
I think ROCCAT were talking about the game plan. They're like, hey, we killed him before.
Yeah.
By sending in Airwaks. Those 3, maybe even 4, they pulled in the support in the end.
True.
And also H2K were not in a position to help or push in anything. This time they tried the same, just with less people. Odoamne is...
That play was not okay.
No, that was definitely not okay. I don't know, Rammus is just such a stupid champion in many ways.
Oh, man.
Oh,
here he comes. Rolling into the mid lane, forcing the flash. Tabzz will also flash away and use the heal for the movement speed. Vander's coming in from the right-hand side, and Tabzz will have to go upwards. But there's no tower there. There's no inhib tower either. And Vander will set up Jankos for the kill real quick with a barrel. And now Jankos and the rest of the team, they're just picking apart ROCCAT. They're really just falling apart.
Well, once you start defending all these different lanes and you randomly go in and die, the rest of your team will fall apart. Betsy's
caught out. He's dead. Noxiak tries to defend him, walks back and forth, and it's like, where did my Quinn go?
Right. Odoamne is not going to get punished anymore. He's done well.
He has done well. Okay. Good job, Odoamne.
I mean, technically, he kind of stood there.
In this game.
He stood there, did W, and then they were kind of hitting him, and he killed them. If you need a champion to test your mechanics, guys, Rammus is the champion.
Garen up there, Rammus, of course, some of the greats of top lane.
Tarek, you know.
Yeah.
What a beast. Like, look at the mechanics here from Odoamne. This is how you become one of the absolute best top laners. Clicks R, you click on all your abilities, and then you kind of just start auto-attacking on the enemy.
Yeah.
And you have a Thorn Mail at this point, and with your W, you get like, what, 300-something armor and like 100 and something crazy MR.
What I really want is an APM counter. And it's just like seeing all his button clicks as it happens. And it's just like 5 APM.
It's a good champion, by the way, if you don't want to click on single buttons and you just want to smack your hand on the entire keyboard. Because you just got to click everything at once anyway.
That's true.
There's really no rotation for Rammus. It's just like W, E, R at the same time.
Yeah. And
then you kind of win.
Yeah, and as soon as they come back up off cooldown, you click them again.
You do the same.
And then there you go.
So you got to know your cooldowns.
You do.
Basically it.
Can you read them out for me, Deficio?
Oh, I mean, it's only 43 seconds on his ulti, and he's only ranked 2 ulti at this point. So that's pretty scary. 8 seconds on taunt, 10 seconds on his W.
Yeah.
Decent enough cooldown. And he's not, obviously, I mean, he's going for some cooldown reduction now.
But generally doesn't do it in his early item builds. Like now he's going for Spirit Villagers. It's like a luxury item against Airwaks. So next time that play happens against Nautilus and Elise, because those are the two like main AP damage dealers of the team.
He already won.
And he still had like, yeah, I mean, he won, but next time he'll just kill both of them by himself.
Well, now
he can take out 3 people.
Potentially pushing him off an inhib.
Yeah, this inhib is dropping low fairly quickly. ROCCAT coming into the engage on the back lines. Freddy's there, lands the dredge line, but the team isn't quite there yet. Odoamne is a one-man armadillo able to zone away the entirety of ROCCAT. And after all of that play, Jankos drops low, but Forgiven will jump in aggressively with Flash, take down the inhibitor, take down Freddy, and H2K will be rolling on out.
I like how you give the credit to Odoamne. It's like ROCCAT flanking, getting pushed off by all the damage coming in from the rest of H2K. Odoamne right there, man. Look at him.
Standing in the middle of this team. Yeah, it's all the Odoamne in this game.
Oh, the taunt!
Flash, the taunts! Jankos jumping in there. Headbutt him to death. Get him, Odoamne. All set up by the Armadillo.
Look how smart Tabzz was there. I mean, this is a smart play, because once the taunt was gone, he started auto-attacking the Gragas, who had no Thorn Mail, and therefore he stayed alive longer. Yeah, micro-analysis.
Betsy, he's kind of drifting alongside H2K.
Did you say Betsy or Betsy?
Betsy. I don't know why I wanted to say Betsy. I mean, there's nothing even that really combines with. Maybe Freddy.
Let's see the Odoamne zoning here, as Paul calls it. So Freddy gets pushed out, gets destroyed basically by damage. Okay, no, Odoamne is basically zoning the fight. Good call. Betsy trying to come in from the side, but again, remember guys, ROCCAT is playing a 1-3-1 composition that relied on winning the early game to work, and they lost the early game. And also they only have physical damage against the Rammus. So all these fights, he's going to look very one-sided. Okay, look at the tap mechanics here. Taunt is out. He's like, oh, Thornmail, no, hit the Gragas.
Yeah.
Also because you could kill the Gragas, but whatever.
well, deep mechanical outplays happening in this game. And he took down the inhib as well. I'm going to fade away, but you can fill in the blanks for yourself. 8-3 in this game. Massive gold lead, massive tower lead, massive map pressure lead from H2K. And really just the dominoes just all fell over in spectacular fashion in this game.
And classic way for H2K to stomp games by taking towers and not really getting kills. Normally when you see like every one-sided game is 20 kills to 2 or something. H2K is all about towers. They're a bunch of gentlemen, really.
Yeah.
Like they'll take off the glove and gently slap you in the face and challenge you. They won't smack you in the head or anything.
I see. They'll push you away from the tower, but all they really want are your belongings. Now they sound more like hoodlums than gentlemen, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't really want to take their stuff. That would be super rude.
No, they're breaking their stuff. I guess that's even worse.
Fine. You see the vase, tip it over.
Yeah. You see this jar? Okay.
Basically, H2K are not gangsters.
No, they're not gangsters.
But they will...
I can see Odoamne as like a crime boss. Yeah. He's like, all right, guys, push him down in the bottom lane, get him. Our sisters minions from behind.
You are the absolute worst crime boss ever.
Ooh, Odoamne.
No, you.
Me.
I thought you were just
me
imitating
I can do like the swivel around the chair. I just need like a white rabbit, something to stroke perhaps.
Oh, diving.
Here comes the bot lane dive. Betsy's coming in. Betsy's going out. And Forgiven, he had been blinded, but the rest of the team does too much damage by themselves. Jankos is on the front lines, knocks Tabzz into the team. Great ultimate coming in from him. All the flashes are used. They just want the kill on Tabzz here. 2-0. Now they'll go onto the inhibitor itself. And Odoamne and the rest of the team, what a clean game. It was slow, it was methodical, and H2K will be closing out against ROCCAT in 28 minutes. They'll be trying to pad the stats real quick, and Odoamne will be headbutting someone. It's going to be his victim, Noxiak. And she'll get that last auto attack down. No, he survives. H2K coming up with the win.
Yeah. 2 games in a row where I feel like we can highlight a lot of issues in pick and ban phases from the bottom 4 teams. Showing that Quinn so early, which will in many cases go mid lane. With Rammus open for Odoamne, is like, okay, lock in.
Like first rotation, man. It was super weird.
That was such an easy pick and ban phase for H2K, honestly.
H2-1, H2K, H2-1, H2K, H2-1, H2K.
Great to see H2K in high spirits. Forgiven remaining with the team. Great performances all around.
Yeah, really not a whole lot to say. There were so few mistakes. We're like, why are you clearing a pink ward here? Your team just ganked bot lane. Like, that was about it. But again, the comp from ROCCAT basically relied on getting standard lanes or a winning lane swap, I guess, from them, and then like snowball completely out of control with the Quinn mid to become a split pusher. But I feel like you have like maybe 1% chance of achieving that against H2K, a team who is better than you, and then play this kind of comp. It's why it so quickly becomes so one-sided. It's like, you're never gonna win late game ever in a million years. And again, we highlighted in the game, 290 armor for Odoamne when he popped his W at 16 minutes against Quinn Kalista.
It's mental.
Like, I mean, have fun.
You're talking about like 1% chance against H2K, and that was also their 1% chance of getting into playoffs. Now they are eliminated from playoffs, still fighting to get 7th place, and ROCCAT can definitely do it against some of the other bottom teams, but now they need to be looking towards next split if they want to look at playoff hopes. For now, they are dead.
For now, it is done. Still the safe spot. Just make sure everyone knows that we have the promotion tournament coming. Top 2 challenger teams coming in. Bottom 3 EU LCS teams playing in that promotion tournament.
Yep.
Number 10, currently Giants, will be in the first round of that tournament. So obviously seeding does matter. Being number 8 and 9 means you do have a small bye. I guess you skip day 1 and you play from day 2. And you also have double elimination then. So in case you lose the first BO5, you still have a chance. Yeah,
and you already know the teams you're going up against because Huma and Copenhagen Wolves have been locked in. We're just waiting on the seedings on that one. But we're going to send it over to the LCS to break down H2K's win.